Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ng. Joyce, we have so much to talk about. Again, we saw the color purple last week.
Did you enjoy it?
Sure. I want you tell me what you thought first, and then I'll.
Why are you gonna piggyback off of my thoughts?
No, I just want to hear what you think. I like to listen to what you think.
Why?
What you think of the film, Joyce?
Well, I asked you first.
I thought it was fine. Here's what I would say. I thought it was completely fine. I think a lot of the when we saw it a Friday evening, lovely event, Warner Brothers screening room. I would say a home team crowd, a lot of applause for numbers, certainly for at least one performer in particular, which we'll talk about. I thought it was perfectly fine. I think I never saw the stage musical, and I think based on how the movie played out and just reading about it, it felt like a very faithful adaptation of the musical, and it felt very much like a musical. I don't know how, it's a weird way to describe it, but I was like, this feels like a real, like it's a musical on film. A lot of times I felt like it was just a strong adaptation of it, but I just didn't really, I guess I would say I didn't love the book, and some of the songs I think could have been a little more memorable.
I liked it. I think it's good, and I also have never seen the stage musical, and I have not read the book or seen the Spielberg film in decades. So It's been a while. I have not revisited the source material or the narrative film in a bit.
It's funny. I also had not revisited the Spielberg film, but I've seen that, and I was like, it's funny how much I remembered of the film watching the musical. Did you feel that way? It was just like, oh yeah,
I mean, like, I know the story.
Right.
I just don't know the stage adaptation or the songs.
Right.
Like, I know the song titles. I've just never heard of them.
Right. Same.
So,
I thought like, one of the things we're not going to talk spoilers here, I would imagine, but I was just like,
you can't really spoil it.
One of the things I found, like, I just was like, in musicals, when you watch a musical, like, obviously you're suspending disbelief to such an extent that, like, things could happen, like time could move, and you're just watching the act and like what's happening. And then the movie, the same thing happens. It takes place over 45 years. And like, just one example, I was like, David Alan Grier is in it. He plays a preacher. Really fun performance. He's in it, like, I would say not a cameo, but he's like not a major factor in the film. And in the beginning of the movie, it's 1902, I think it starts in, and he's David Allen. 1909 it is? Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. And he plays David Alan Grier, and then 40 years later, still David Alan Grier, looks exactly the same. And I was just like, okay, this works as if you're suspending disbelief from a musical aspect, I guess. But in the movie, I was just like, how old are these people supposed to be?
Well, I mean, I would say the hair and makeup work is subtle, but like you can definitely notice it, especially in Fantasia.
Absolutely.
But it's
Fantasia,
not
yes.
very in your face.
No.
Like if you look for it, it's there. Like he is, I think it's more in his physicality. And honestly, I mean, like older people, like sometimes they just look the same, whether they're, like 80 or 100.
Sure. And I just noticed it I just mean, like, for a music, I felt like that felt like a musical. That made it feel like a musical to me. And I don't really have a problem with suspending disbelief totally, because I'm like, just think of like Hills of Flower Moon, like Ernest Burkhart is like Leo should have played King Hale, right? Based on age. And so the fact that he's playing Ernest Burkhart in his 20s, you suspend the disbelief and it's fine. But yeah, there were things about the movie I really enjoyed, particularly a couple of the performances. But yeah, I thought it was perfectly fine. When we left the screening, I had it in for Best Picture, and still in there, 9th place, sitting there strong. I think it's a very likely Best Picture nominee based on the response, and certainly based on the crowd response. I think it is a crowd pleaser. I saw a lot of the tweets were crowd pleaser. And you know what? I think they're right. It was definitely a movie people like to applaud and clap.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it met my expectations, and it's entertaining. It does what a musical does. Like it's rousing, it's crowd pleasing, and again, I have not seen the stage musical, but it seems like the people who have seen it are happy with the adaptation.
Yes,
so
I thought that too, actually. And I talked to a couple people after the movie who had seen the stage musical, and they were like, yeah, and it was a good adaptation on that front. Performance wise, I was all in on Danielle Brooks, Joyce, and you'll be not surprised to know at all that I moved her right to the top of my best supporting actress predictions. I feel like you walk out of the movie and you're just like, yes, that is seemingly a performance that will check a lot of boxes and could win.
Yeah, I did too. I suspect she'll probably be in first, Sam.
Just an incredible performance. So the movie, it has an opening prologue that's about like 20 minutes where we have the main characters are younger, right? Played by Halle Bailey and I forget the new what's her name?
Alicia Pearl Posse.
Yes. And then there's a whole prologue, and then you kind of get to the heart of the story, and that's when like Sophia, who is Danielle Brooks, shows up and just basically like just kind of walks in and just blows the roof off the movie. Kind of like has a huge song and big musical number, is absolutely hilarious, and kind of just like explodes the movie in a way that she just kind of stomps in out in like 10 minutes, and you're like, well, that is a great performance. Then she comes back later and it's like incredibly tragic and like really heartrending, and I was like, wow, she gets to do so much in the movie in this supporting performance. I just felt like you were definitely she's running the gamut of emotions, and it's such a wonderful performance. I just loved her in it so much. I think she could easily win.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we talked about this before, when the movie was largely unseen, that if like both her and Taraji P. Henson get in, for one of them to win, there would need to be a consensus favorite between the two of them. And I would say for me, that's Danielle Brooks. And I definitely, in our screening, for sure, it's Danielle Brooks.
It's just an amazing performance. I just could not believe how much fun she is. And it reminded me so much of other obvious like I was like, Ariana DeBose won for West Side Story, and it just felt like this similar kind of like,
oh yeah, no, it's the classic supporting actress musical, like flashy performance that Oscar voters love, like Catherine Zeta-Jones, Jay Hood, Anne Hathaway, and Ariana. Like they just have the scene stealing number. Like, not all of these are upbeat, obviously, like Anne Hathaway, but it's still a memorable number, and it sticks with you. And then that's just kind of like what the Oscars go for, like as like an award for a musical that is like, probably, except for Chicago, that is like probably not going to win Best Picture.
I completely agree, and I was like, yeah, she's just amazing. I just thought she was absolutely amazing in it. And like we've said, this is a category since Lily Gladstone has moved off to Best Actress that felt like, I think Devondre Randolph remains like a front runner, and certainly like I have her in second. But I think the passion around the Danielle Brooks performance, like you said, like people were literally she had like multiple.
She had the audience in the palm of her hand. Like I knew, like she got raves for her Broadway turn. She got a Tony nomination, probably would have won if not for Hamilton.
Yes.
So I expected her to deliver, and she did. Just crushed it. And like it is a very Beatty role, like it is comic relief, but if you know the arc of that character, like she has material in the third act.
It's comic relief until it's not, I think. And then it's like very, very serious, and it like really adds, and she just crushes those scenes too. I just found her like so empathetic, and it's just a great performance, like top to bottom. I just loved her in it so much. And she has probably, I'm sure this is like you said, I'm not super familiar with the musical, but I would say that was the best song in the film. It's like her big number, I think, is like a great song. Hell no.
I think it's definitely the catchiest number, like that's her signature. So I knew going in, like that was her signature song, Sophia's, and Shug Avery's was Push the Button.
Yeah.
And Seeley's is I'm Here, her big ballad at the end.
Right.
So I knew that. I had never heard them.
Right.
But I would say of all those three, like I want to sing Hell No.
Great song. I think people are really going to walk out just humming it and singing it. She also gets to play her. I mean, like, she has great scenes. Corey Hawkins, I think, is wonderful in it too. And I don't think he'll get nominated, but I just thought he was great. And like so much of her material is off of him too, which I found really great and a lot of fun. So I would rank her like far and away the best performance in the film. I was also really captured by Coleman Domingo. I don't think the character totally works based on just so much has to happen. And I think this is what I don't remember, I guess, in the movie, Joyce. he doesn't have like he plays Mr. obviously, who's he doesn't have like a redemption in the movie, and I don't know if he necessarily has a redemption in the film, but it felt like they were trying to musical it to a redemption. Did you get that sense or no? I guess I didn't remember the movie in that aspect.
Well, no, I mean, like he basically does the same thing at the end in the Spielberg film that he does here, just in a different way.
Right.
But he facilitates it too in the Spielberg film.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what it's like in the stage musical. I'm assuming, I know songs were cut. I don't know what songs. So,
right.
But I'm assuming there's like, maybe another song up like from his perspective about that in the stage musical.
I did think he was great.
Someone will correct us now. So
I did think he was great. I really loved him. I didn't put him in.
I liked him more here than in Rustin.
Probably yes, but I think he'll get in for Rustin still, and I think this only helps him getting in for Rustin. I don't know if
I don't have him in for either,
so I don't have him in for this, but I think he was great in it. And then I also thought Taraji was funny. Like obviously I didn't actually put her in, even though I think she's quite good in the movie. And like you said, Push That Button is like a big kind of like centerpiece number. Not the problem, but with her role, it's so much of a facilitator, it feels like, for the narrative, that she didn't have as much of like dramatic heft that like Danielle gets later in the film, nor Fantasia.
Oh, well, see, I think it's the opposite, and I think that is like a little ironic because her arc is so tied to Ceely's. Like, she is supposed to provide that guidance. I mean, both her and Shug and Sophia are like that because they're these aspirational, strong-willed women,
right?
That Ceely would like to be, right? But she has a closer relationship with Shug,
right?
So I would say like she probably has more screen time than Danielle, because Danielle disappears for a large chunk. So there is a lot of material between Ceely and Shug. But I agree. I don't think she, like she just like doesn't steal the movie the same way that Danielle does. And, she is great in her big number, Push the Button. And she's also very funny, like her arrival and everything. And then just like all the little, like very quick and subtle shifts between her interactions with Mr. and Ceely. But I think like Danielle's performance and that role is just the one that people are gonna eat up more.
Yeah.
And it's like I already had Taraji in, so I just kept her in. But I had Danielle higher than Taraji already. So, but now I just have Danielle first.
I didn't have Taraji and I didn't put her in. And I think if she gets in, it would be very well deserved. Like you said, it's like, I feel like it's just like peak, like very, just a lot of stuff Taraji P. Henson does really well, like all the time in the movie. And so she, like you said, she's like hilarious. I don't actually think Danielle's funnier, but like she is hilarious also in her own way. And she has like a lot of great moments. And she does have like a couple of like nice moments with.
Yeah. And she does have like dramatic moments because like she's, she's estranged from her dad. David Allen Greer.
Yeah, I would say
like it's not. I wouldn't say it's as dramatic as Danielle's stuff.
No, it's not. And I also felt like that to me was like something I didn't need. Like, there's a scene later. If you're you don't want to be spoiled, whatever. There's a scene later. Her and David Allen Greer have a scene late in the film where I was just like, it felt like this. That was where I felt like it was a musical because I could imagine that on stage just being like a nice moment because every character has to have like a nice moment. And I was just like, it totally is unnecessary for the movie because we haven't given enough time or weight to this relationship at all. And like they've talked about it briefly, but it's just like in passing. And it's like the 5th or 6th most important like emotional beat in the movie. And that it just didn't. It's a nice scene, but it didn't have any. It didn't grab me because I was just like, this feels so extra. Just feels like added on.
What's so funny? These two girls behind me after that scene ended, one of them said to the other was like, "Oh, is he her dad?"
So like, I mean, that's actually not hard to believe that they thought that because it's you don't really know. It's just not it's in there if you're looking for it's obviously in there if you're looking for it, but it's just like not like a
it's
main driver.
mentioned expositionally in the beginning.
Yes.
And then there is a scene with them in a church later. But it's not like, and then she interacts with him.
Well, and that was another problem, not a problem, but another issue I had with the way the timeline works. And I think this is different from the book, because I don't think the book goes into the late 40s, like, or the Spielberg movie doesn't necessarily go in the late 40s. That I'm pretty sure of. Is that so much time like there's like a time jump in this that's like 6 years, I think, at one point, and it feels like like a lot of the action has not changed in the 6, you know what I mean? Like certain conversations happen where it's like, wouldn't you have said this like at some point? I don't know. It just, that was like a little, so that's why I don't think it's super clear, like with her relationship with her dad necessarily. Anyway, she's very good in the movie, but I didn't put her in after seeing it, even though I could see her getting in for sure. But I think because Danielle is so overwhelmingly good, I think she will get like most of the passion from the film and the support in that category. And Taraji could still get in, but I wonder if there's room then for other performers who are also beloved to get in, like in that 4 or 5 spot. I would put Taraji like 4 or 5 for me.
I have her 5.
So that means I feel like that would make her vulnerable to like getting knocked out. I put in, so my 5 now there are Danielle Brooks first, Devon Joy Randolph, Jodie Foster, Emily Blunt, and Julianne Moore. I slipped back in, Joyce, because after we talked, I felt like I do think there's going to be a lot of
Were you
passion.
emboldened by the Rapture's response to May December's release this weekend?
A little.
And their press tour?
A little.
And Charles Melton giving his mom's kimchi to everyone?
If you want to know, I have Charles Melton in too.
But you didn't get a jar of kimchi.
No, but I just put him in. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of passion around that, and it feels like the Julianne Moore performance is like something I think a lot of actors will really enjoy because she's so rich, a lot of material.
Yeah,
I would put Taraji
like
I think
I think Color Purple will do well. Like there's a built-in audience for it from the book, from the first film and the musical. So I think it will do well in theaters, and it'll definitely have its fans and support. So I can definitely see it swinging double supporting noms.
Yeah, I don't think it's without question. Certainly.
And yeah, and then I basically didn't change much besides moving Danielle to first. I did not put Fantasia in.
Same.
I thought about it, but I also had to move on.
So I was looking at so like we said, one of the emails I think recently we had was wondering like, or like how much is like, they obviously added material that was like part of the thing and that helped her want to do it, right? Because she had talked about how she didn't really want to even do the movie because the stage show is so difficult and like, you know, like all these things, but they added some material to give you more of a sense of Celie's like inner life and thoughts, right? Like,
yeah, it's like magical realism. You go into her.
But I gotta say, there's not that much of it. And like her first big number, I think, is not for an hour and 20 minutes into the movie. I looked at my watch because I was like, when, like, she has some, like,
you were waiting for Fantasia to sing.
I was a little, because I was like, she doesn't Celie is like such an internalized character. She doesn't actually say very much in the film, right? At least in the early stages, she's like very silent and observing and kind of like, you know, it's a lot of internalized emotion. And so I was waiting for her to sing, and it's like maybe like an hour 15 minutes into the movie is her first big number, and she obviously has like, that is like a backloaded performance. Like you said, she has the big closing number and the pants one. I forget the name of that song, but that was another big one as well, obviously.
That was fun. Yeah,
fun little, and great costumes in that part. I thought like the just beautiful great gowns, beautiful gowns, but with pants. But yeah, she doesn't have like a lot of stuff. She's not really singing as much, and I felt like, yeah, I didn't put her in, basically. It's a long story short. I was like waiting for more, I guess maybe because I was like, based on all the pre-release like interviews, I was expecting a lot more of that magical realism. And the one scene is like her and I think Suge's in the bath, and then she's like on a record, and it's like really cool and like very well staged, and the production design is really cool. I thought that scene was great. I would have loved more of that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Celie is, yeah, like you said, just a very internal character, because, you know, she's so meek in the beginning, and then she really gains that confidence throughout the film through her interactions with Sophia and Shug and everyone. So yeah, it's much more of like, I found myself watching it, I was like thinking like, what if this were just a straight up remake, like a straight up narrative film? Because I think that would really work for Fantasia, because it's not, she doesn't have the show-stopping numbers like Danielle and Taraji do. Like, she has I'm Here at the end, but it's way at the end, you know. And she's very good. And yeah, her big number at the end, like she sang that live, so that'll be part of the narrative.
It's great. The number at the end is great. I mean, like, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's very much like a slow build kind of performance. I don't know if that has like, I don't know how that comes across like on stage when she performed it on stage, because she got, you know, raves when she did it on Broadway. So yeah, but like in the film, I don't know if like it, like that's like that's going to be like people's favorite performance, even though like I think most people's favorite performance will be Danielle's.
I think Danielle and Taraji,
and like they're not competing in the same category, obviously, but
I think it's also the way the role, it's not even like it's not that she does anything. I think the role is great, like she's great in the role, but I just, like you're saying, like I think the other roles pop much more just based on the way they're positioned in the story, and because Celia is so meek in the beginning, and like the whole movie is about her like coming into her own.
Yeah, it's just like it's a slow burn towards I'm Here,
right.
You know, and then like the category, like Best Actress, is so packed this year too.
Well, that's the other issue. I think
that I'm just like, if I put her in, I would probably just have her in like 4 or 5.
So I haven't had her in. I never had her in back when we did our first picks, because I just felt like not the type of role or performance that would maybe compete with some of these more, just a ton of Best Actress.
I mean, I think it's the type of role that would get nominated. Like, a win is a different story, but I think if the year were weaker, she would be in. But because
right now
she's competitive.
Right now she's in 6th. She's ahead of Annette Bening, who I have in, and I still have Margot Robbie in. I don't have Sandra Huller in, and then Fantasia. So I would have like Sandra Huller and Fantasia in my like 6, 7 spots, probably.
Yeah, I would say I would probably have her in my imaginary 6th.
Right
now. Because I do think the movie is very appealing, and it would be appealing to actors. Like, I could see it do really well at SAG if they get screeners out, you know?
I was going to ask you about this. I felt like absolutely now I feel like it's safe to get in at SAG. And I think like Danielle and Taraji can both get in at SAG, even if Taraji doesn't get in at the Oscars. And I could even see Fantasia getting in there as well, or Coleman, or both, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, I think it'll play really well at SAG.
Yeah, I mean, they just have to get the screeners out. Like, I think it's definitely a threat to win ensemble there if it gets in. But yeah, with Best Actress, I don't know. I just left her out for now because I didn't want to think about it too much and I had to move on. But I think she can get in. And I think it would be like a lower tier nominee if she were to get in. Because I mean, I did have her in, when we did our early picks, and then the year just turned out so competitive, and then I just dumped her because her movie wasn't seen yet.
Right.
And then now I'm just like, I don't know. She can, maybe. I mean, there's so many, like, everyone from that 6 to 10 area could get in, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got a great narrative. Like you always say, like, it's great to leave, like, as long as the end is good, right? Like, that's gonna help. So she has like the great, whatever you think of the performance and like the lack of material maybe in the first half of the film, she's got a great ending, so it helps. Big number,
and
like,
now that they're able to campaign, they've been working it. I think they're in London right now. They were in London yesterday, promoting. And I think she'll be great on the trail because she's already, adding her personal perspective
Mm-hmm.
on it. Like she's talked about like how she like doing this film like made her, you know, talk to family members she hasn't talked to in 20 years and everything. And she talked about like her overdose and everything. So, and I think she knows she's very charming. So I think that can help. Like you love a good campaign. I think all three of them will be great on the campaign, the three ladies.
I absolutely agree. I think they'll be very fun. And I think this is like, I mean, it's weird because like I feel like people were like, oh, I shouldn't have, like I saw people being like, oh, I had to put it back in. But I'm like, why would you have ever taken it out? I never even thought of taking this movie.
Oh, I never took the movie out. No.
And I like never thought of like we don't, like you said, moving Danielle Brooks into first. I don't have Taraji in. I still think she could easily get in. I don't have Fantasia in, but she could easily get in. I think Coleman Domingo could also get in, but I just think that category is too crowded, frankly. And there's barely enough room for 5, and he has Rustin. So I think that'll help him for Rustin. And then crafts wise, I had it in for costume design. I left it in. I could see it getting in for production design, but I don't have it in. I think sound would obviously be competitor whenever we figure that out. An original song is very crowded this year. There are 2 songs in the movie. One song by Halle Bailey that I think would be the one. The other one is the Corey Hawkins one, which is a little shorter and like a little more like not tossed off, but it's like a great number, but I just don't think it has like the weight of the other song.
I like the Halle song.
Yeah, I think that's the one that would get in.
I mean, it's also a packed category.
I actually would not put it in, but I think that is the best bet from the movie, because it is a packed category, and there's actually it's like the one of 2 Halle Bailey songs because she also has one from Little Mermaid that's really good. So it is a crazy competitive category. But I think Color Purple will be in there for like 4, 5, 6 nominations. Would you say maybe more?
I mean, I could see it just kind of replicating West Side Story. West Side Story gets 7.
Yes.
I don't think I'll actor like it did.
No.
So
West Side Story had costumes, I believe, sound, supporting actress,
and
picture director. What one am I missing? Production design?
Yeah, it got production. It didn't get editing. Oh no, cinematography. Did it get cinematography?
Supporting actors, production design, costume design, sound, director, picture, and cinematography.
Yeah, Janusz. Yeah, so I feel like that feels like doable for the film.
So I would say picture, supporting actress, production design, costume design, sound, not best director. Maybe cinematography, maybe something else. I think cinematography is too crowded too, but I could see it getting
I don't have it in cinematography.
But the absolute floor then would be supporting actress, picture, costume design, sound, and production design would be 5.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get screenplay.
No, no fault of the screenplay.
I mean, the musicals just don't really get screenplay nominations.
Yeah,
in general. So
I will say that the screenwriter was at the screening we saw, and he spoke after it, and was an incredibly charming presence. So Marcus Garvey, right?
He's a huge stan of the.
Yes.
So.
That's the Color Purple choice. Anything else? Any other comments you heard coming out of it?
No. I think a lot of the highlights not surprise me because I mean people are always excited once they see a movie they like anyway, but I think that is amplified when it's a musical.
Yes,
because it is such a crowd. It's usually very crowd pleasing, so you come out of it liking it more tenfold. So but I think it's a good movie, and it met my expectations.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I would agree with that. I think
and then I think it's also kind of on par with my game of telephone of what I heard from people who had seen it earlier.
Yeah, same. Actually,
it's like very, because sometimes like, if I hear something from people who had seen something before I did, like I might be like, what the hell did they watch? Like this sucks, or like I love this if they hated it. But this I felt like was right on the money.
Yeah, because a lot of the people we had heard or a lot of people I spoke to had seen it like months ago. Were like, it's good. It's exactly what you're thinking, and it's like it's good. It's exactly what you're thinking. So it's like that's what it. I mean, I feel like a lot of movies this year, to me, would qualify for that. Like Holdovers is a similar movie to me, where I was like, it's exactly what you're expecting. This is the movie. So yeah, that's not bad. People like it. I do think this will do really well as a real movie that people see. Compared to
it's familiar IP.
Yeah.
It's an important text.
Yeah. I think people will absolutely see it. So that's good. And that'll help it too, I think, in the conversation, because it's going to feel like a movie.
I don't think it's going to be a box office flop like West Side Story was, because it doesn't have to deal with COVID.
Yeah.
And it opens.
No, I absolutely think that's right. I mean, yeah, that's great. So that's Color Purple. The other stuff we're going to move on to, Joyce. Maestro is out right now, if you're watching this.
Just in time for Thanksgiving.
Limited release.
Do you think people should, I guess, because it's Wednesday, so they could watch it and then watch the Thanksgiving Day parade on Thursday and look for a Snoopy balloon, or they could watch it after the parade.
I would say probably watch it after the parade. I think you'd have a newfound appreciation for the scene. But yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix in December. The box office in this case doesn't really matter, but it's a great opportunity then to have the movies cast all over the place, Joyce.
They've been everywhere the past week, working really hard, and just a lot of Q&As.
I'm going to read off some of this because I got a list here. We last week we spoke about the DGA one that Spike Lee did with Bradley. Lin-Manuel Miranda hosted one, right? We mentioned those. We saw Iron Claw instead of the Lin-Manuel Miranda one, and I was disappointed. So I do love me some Lin-Manuel Miranda, even though I thought Iron Claw was pretty good. Let's see. Bradley screening on Friday. A lot of famos. Oliver Stone, Meg Ryan was there. Jennifer Garner moderating a SAG screening. Saw a picture of that.
I love my Sydney and Will. So
great. Jennifer Garner looked awesome. Love it. Alias reboot. Ryan Johnson at a WGA Q&A with Bradley and Josh Singer. Todd Phillips is at a DGA event. All standing ovations at these, obviously. Though I'm like, when you're at an event,
they're going to stand if the famous person is there.
I just feel like that's already built in.
Yeah.
What is your take on, just to go back to Color Purple, what do you feel like when audiences applaud movie musicals?
You know how I like silence when I watch things. I can watch things with people, so I hate when there are reactions. Like, I don't mind laughter in comedies. Like, I understand that reaction, but I also want it to die down so I can hear the next line. This is why I need closed captioning in movies, normalize closed captioning, so I can at least read the dialogue if people are laughing or making noise.
I always find it weird. I'm like, they're not here to receive the applause, but I do.
Yeah, it's not live. Like, it's not the actual. We're not on Broadway.
But I do think it's indicative of a successful moment when there is a clear applause moment, and then the audience does fill the space. I will say that the screening we saw, I'm not saying there were plants, but it did feel like a couple of times where it was like somebody was absolutely going to clap, and then everybody.
Well, there was one, I forget what moment it was, but like I think it was the end of a song or something. Maybe it was just another, killer Danielle line that she nailed, but people did try to clap and no one else engaged, so then they quit.
Yes, I noticed that too. But I think it's indicative of a successful movie. That being said,
because like that's when like, oh, this is landing. Like we had that at Maestro after the cathedral scene. Everyone applauded that.
Huge
Jeremy Strong loved it. I watched him clap.
And that is absolutely the best part of the movie, Maestro. And I think that'll be a centerpiece of Bradley. I think Bradley mentioned he worked 6 years to learn how to conduct that or something.
Yes, that was the aggregated story last week.
Yes.
So a lot of
I didn't read the story, Joyce. I just read the headline. So I don't
No,
even know.
that was just that was from the Q&A that we missed.
Got it.
So that just, just got SEO'd to death everywhere.
The aggregators are out in force. They're doing it screenings all this week too. Paris Theater here in New York. Carey Mulligan's going to be there at 11 a.m.
Just flying back and forth. New York to LA, New York.
So they're out there. This is like, I mean, we said this last week. Bradley was like the winner of the post-SAG strike arms race and campaigning. It's a great timing for it too, because the movie is coming out, so it actually feels appropriate. And I think
feels like they didn't miss anything.
No.
So.
It hasn't changed my thoughts of Bradley winning Best Actor. I only feel more emboldened by that pick. I just think he's like winning over Hollywood vote by vote.
I mean, you could say that last time too, and we know what happened.
Do you think this has helped him get more into the Best Director race? We don't have him in, neither one of us. And I haven't really thought about putting him in because it's such a competitive field. But I'm starting to think maybe I'll end up having him in at the end.
No, I don't think so. And then we talked about this last week. It doesn't feel like he is focusing on that aspect of his work this time.
That's true.
It's very much about how, like the ghost of Leonard Bernstein came to him.
Right.
And how he spent 6 years learning to conduct 6 minutes of Mahler.
Right.
And everything. So I think there's more focus on the performance and just like general aspects of the movie as a whole. Like they've also done a lot of, he did a Q&A last week too with just his below the line people, his craft team,
Yes.
So I think it's like the movie overall. And I do feel like maybe I don't remember much from 5 years ago, but I do feel like he's definitely done a lot more in the lead up to a release. And I don't know if that's because of the strike and they're like trying to make up for lost ground from, Venice or whatever. But I felt like he didn't do that much, save for the infamous New York Times profile this time.
I thought that too. I will say a couple of things just from like, he's done a lot of events, not a lot of like profiles, right? So that's probably good.
PBS Sunday Morning. That's it.
Right. Sure. I guess. But he seems more comfortable this year with this than he did with Star is Born. Do you get that sense? I mean, obviously we don't know him at all. And I'm just going by just the stuff we see on social media of these events, right? But I'm like, he seems very comfortable with his movie, very confident in like the movie, more so than even Star is Born. Where it was like Star is Born was like him trying to prove that he could be a real director. And this is, I know I'm a real director and this is a good movie. Like that's the vibe I'm getting.
Well, we also know that he got Maestro because Steven Spielberg saw A Star is Born as like, you're going to direct this.
So it feels like there's a more confidence to his. That's why I'm like, maybe he's actually more of a, like, maybe I should be taking him more. Not that I'm not taking him seriously in Best Director. I'd probably have him like 5 to 10 or 6 to 10, excuse me. But I'm like, maybe I should be taken more seriously because I wonder if the confidence that he seems to have with his directing is like engendering him to a very finicky branch that has been insular in the past.
I think it's still too competitive and I think they're still insular.
Okay. I mean, I'm not putting him in, but I could see doing it.
I mean, I can see a Globe nomination.
Definitely. Globes, Joy, speaking of the Globes. On
CBS. They have a home.
Yeah, they have a home. CBS. Coming soon to CBS. Paramount Plus. I got to say, the Globes with the lead-in of an NFL playoff. Is it a double header or a double header? It's just like a regular. Yeah. Great. That's going to be the most watched award show. I can't wait for it
to start 38 minutes late. It's going to be amazing.
That's going to be, the Golden Globes will absolutely have more viewers than the Emmys. That's my prediction.
Well, this is also, the Globes are on the same night as the second night of the Creative Arts Emmys.
Yes. Can't wait.
So it's gonna be a great time in January. Yeah.
Just going through the release, if you're watching this and like, what should I see for Thanksgiving? There's a lot of stuff, Joyce. Maestro, if you find a theater. Napoleon, we talked about last week, out in theaters. Ridley Scott just owning the press tour.
Just love a Ridley Scott press tour. This is exactly what I missed last year. So
complete lack of fucks.
He could do whatever the hell he wants.
The Times UK one was great. The guy was like, the interviewer was like, Martin Scorsese really was upset, thinking about the end of his life and all these things. And Ridley Scott's like, I don't give a fuck, basically. He was like, I've made 4 movies.
He's like, it took him like 17 years to make Hills of Flower Moon. I pop these babies out every 6 months.
I made 4 movies since he made Flower Moon. I just wake up every day and think about, I got another problem to solve or whatever.
And it was like the French hate themselves. Like, who gives a fuck?
He said Napoleon's a perfect movie for streaming. Streaming is great for it because you can pause and get a beer.
It's true. I mean, like, I want the 4.5 hour cut. I've been telling because I told my friends about Napoleon over the weekend, and they had the reaction that I think a lot of people have when I say that it's funny, because they were like, unintentionally funny. I was like, no, intentionally funny. And like, they don't like, that's like a disconnect for people, because I think they just, again, like, I think people are expecting this very serious, war epic. And I'm like, no, it's actually doing something and subverting a very common trope, and it's funny. So and some of my friends are going to see it this weekend. So
I think it'll, like you said last week, I think it'll do well. Napoleon's a brand name.
Yeah, IP.
It's IP.
There are also a lot of history nerds out there. So
a lot of dads. Go with your dad on Thanksgiving.
Did you see Francis Ford Coppola's Instagram?
No, I didn't.
He wrote like an essay recapping Ridley's career, and obviously ending with a shout out for Napoleon, and it was the Napoleon trailer.
In my group, one of my friends and I have been texting about this. Where are you on Ridley Scott, Joyce? Do you think he's a good director?
Yeah, I think he can be a great director. I think good is accurate. I think he can be messy.
Me too.
But I enjoy most of his movies.
What are your favorite Ridley Scott movies?
Thelma and Louise. I love Black Hawk Down.
Okay.
So Gladiator.
Great.
I mean, like, I really like Napoleon, The Last Duel.
Okay.
So, but like Kingdom of Heaven, no.
So I was looking through his list. Alien. I think we could say Alien.
Yes. Yeah.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Blade Runner, I'm always mixed on.
I'm not a big Blade Runner person.
No, same.
So,
Thelma and Louise, I agree. I think that one's a winner. I'm skipping 1492, Conquest of Paradise, White Squall, G.I. Jane. Gladiator, obviously, I enjoy. I don't know if it's actually even good anymore, but I've seen it so many times. I like it and I enjoy it. If somebody told me it wasn't good, I would believe them, I guess. But
it's not my fave, but it's a solid, good movie. I think he makes solid movies.
Here's possibly my favorite. I'll give you 2 or 3 that I think could be my favorite. American Gangster, I absolutely love.
I'm not really into that, but sure.
Just the incredible Denzel and Russell Crowe, the virtuosity reunion I needed. It's the best. The Counselor, I think, is obviously just a classic deranged, just sicko cinema. Love it. Really good. And Alien Covenant, I actually love more than Prometheus, which I don't think is successful.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
The Martian, you like The Martian?
I like The Martian. Again, like another solid movie.
He makes a lot of B's, a lot of B's, which is good. I mean, I think he would he churns them out. Like he said, he's made 4 movies since Marty started on Flower Moon, which is hilarious. Last Duel, House of Gucci, Napoleon, and he's working on Gladiator 2. I assume those are the 4 he's talking about. Sure. Like, he's a good filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great quote. Do you think he's going to get in here?
No.
I've seen people trying to at least one part take the movie seriously as a Best Picture contender and seriously as Ridley for director.
I think it could get crafts.
I
And then
do
I wouldn't be
too.
surprised if like Joaquin got in at the Globes, I guess.
Right. We have a question about that actually later. We'll talk. Hold that thought, I guess. Other stuff out. Wish, Joyce, the movie Wish. You gonna see that?
You saw that
I did. Not my
with your
fave.
daughter. How did she enjoy it?
So we watched it and she was like, uh, the quote was, "I'm out on the green eyes and I'm out on the goat," I
She
think, or
says, I'm
whatever.
out on, she's 5.
This
Jesus,
is what
what
I
are you
live with.
teaching her?
I don't know. Uh, and then over the weekend, she was like, let's put Wish on the soundtrack. And then she was immediately reciting all the lyrics. Had never heard the songs but once, and then was singing along. So now she likes it. And I'll probably have to see it again over Thanksgiving break here.
But does that mean she likes the movie or she just likes the songs?
She said she just liked the songs. Then today I asked her and she's like, I like Wish. And it's like, okay, that's fine. She could like, I don't care if she likes it. She should
So
like whatever she likes.
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. She's a flip-flopper like her dad.
Yes, absolutely. She was like, well, this part was good. I would just say my take on the movie as a grown-up was the songs are pretty great. I actually think a lot of the songs are good. And I would put the showcase song is, I think, This Wish, which certainly would get in at the Oscars. I feel like
That just makes me think of This Kiss.
it'll make you think of a lot of Disney songs too. I just found the script and the story like really lacking. It felt like a movie that they could have kept in the lab maybe a year or two longer to like really crack the story, because so much of it is just very rushed and like hand waved and you're not really sure why things are happening, and it's only 80 minutes, which is great. But not my favorite Disney movie, but I think it'll do well at the box office, and I could see it getting in as the best animated feature nominee, though I don't know if I have it in anymore.
My friend, there was an ad for Wish on TV over the weekend, and then he was like, I don't even know what the hell this is about. He was like, this is not telling me anything.
And you know what? I can tell you why you don't know what it's about, because I don't know if the movie knows what it's about. It's very rushed. It's definitely like, let's sing a bunch of good songs and have this cool wish. The star is like really great. I'm like a great future toy probably for a lot of kids. So we went months without any movies really in theaters, and now I'm looking at the list. Saltburn and Holdovers are also wide this weekend.
Saltburn, your second fave of the year.
I think it's third. I'd have Barbie and Oppenheimer first, and then Saltburn.
You're just
Saltburn
gonna
rules.
Barbenheimer to death.
I am. I'm going right down. But I love Saltburn, great movie, and Holdovers people still love.
Yeah, that's doing really well.
A lot of great responses.
Release. Yeah.
So we both moved Danielle Brooks into first, but I don't think that means that we don't think Devondre Randolph can win for supporting actress.
No, I have her in second. But I can see a scenario where maybe they split like critics awards, but then Danielle just takes off the televised stuff and then it's game over.
It's funny because, like you were saying, the Danielle performance is so in line with so many other musical best supporting actress winners.
That's what they like in this category for musical.
Love that in the category. And Divine Joy Randolph is like actually
she's also a classic supporting actress winner too.
It is, but she's it's a very restrained performance. Like, and I think that is like what makes it so good, and also what would make it actually lacking compared to the Danielle performance in terms of what they would want to win. Right? You get like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it is.
Like I think she can win. I think she would just need a lot of wins, and I think she would need to like wins like critics support, and then I think she would need to sneak one of the televised wins.
The other thing too is that no disrespect to Color Purple, which we both said, a successful adaptation and certainly a future Best Picture nominee most likely. But The Holdovers is certainly seemingly the movie that will be more the higher ranked movie, right? In terms of the voters, they will like that. They seem like it seems like that will be a preferred movie compared to Color Purple.
Yes. And it's a possible screenplay winner.
And I've seen people remain pretty bullish on the idea that it could be the alternate Best Picture winner to one of the bigger movies like Oppenheimer or Flower Moon.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this. Yeah, like it's the crowd pleaser. The underdog.
From that aspect, maybe Devondre Randolph would have the edge because her movie is stronger. But I do think the Danielle performance is, like you said, like so classic Oscar win, supporting actress win in a musical.
Yeah, and I think it's also kind of irrelevant what is happening in Best Picture when they're voting on acting categories. Like, it's still separate, like if it, like, or any category, because I think they're just looking at like these 5 people
Right.
in front of them, and especially if by that point Danielle's won everything, like we know how they just like to rubber stamp.
She'll just sweep through.
Yeah.
Nobody asked this question, so I'll just ask it before we get to emails. We've talked about in the past how there doesn't seem like there's going to be a real sweeper this year, right? Based on,
But now I think like it'd be Danielle.
I think Danielle would be the number one potential, like definitely highest potential for a sweep would be Danielle Brooks.
Yeah, because we've been leaning on RDJ and supporting, but like that's also competitive too. I could still see him sweeping, but I could also see him losing something and still winning the Oscar.
I agree. Danielle to me just feels like when people see I was sitting next to somebody at the movie, and when the movie ended, he was like, "Oh, so Danielle Brooks is definitely going to win Best Supporting Actor." He doesn't obviously he's in the industry, but he doesn't he's not obsessed on the award stuff as much as like we are.
He's a normie,
like a relative normie in terms of award stuff, and he was just like, "Oh, well, that's an obvious. She'll obviously win." And I was like, I mean, that I think people will just like. I think that's going to feel like that's the vibe. Oh, obviously she's going to win. Like we kind of did that with Ariana DeBose after we saw West Side Story. Everybody was like, oh, she won.
And again,
okay.
Similarly, we knew Maria was an awards role, yes. And we know Sophia is one too.
I think your point too earlier about the Danielle, like the only, to me, and I'm not the biggest Tony historian, but to me, the only reason that she did not win at the Tony Awards for The Color Purple is because it was against Hamilton and Renee Elise Goldsberry. And like, if it was any other year, literally, she would have won, probably. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean, I remember the reviews she got, because I remember when she was cast, because obviously, like, I know her from Orange is the New Black, which is great. Orange is the New Black. So, and then when it opened, like the revival, she got these great reviews, and yeah, but she wasn't going to win the Tony because of Hamilton. So,
and I wonder if people are like reticent to predict her to win the Oscar. I think if she had won the Tony, and if it was like, this is a Tony Award winning role, then people would be anybody who is on the fence would be more inclined to just say, oh, of course she's going to win. So I feel like that's like, you shouldn't use that against her.
But I think like people are also aware that, I mean, like the production one and Cynthia Erivo won. And unlike the original production, J. Hud, who played Suge in the revival, was not nominated alongside Danielle.
Right.
In the revival. So she was the sole supporting actress nominee at the Tonys.
Frankly, I could kind of see that happening here. Like I said, I don't have Taraji in. I was like, though Taraji does have that great number, and she's Taraji P. Henson. If she got in, I would not be surprised, but I did not put her in. It'd be fun. So that could be our one sweeper, I would say. Still. So emails, Joyce. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. This is from our old pal Beth, who's a big Holdovers stan, if you remember. This is a long email, so just bear with me. See how much I read. Beth, if I edit this on the fly, I'm just going to tell you because it's long. Hi, Chris and Joyce. It's me again, and I want to discuss something with both of you, or have you discussed between the two of you and leave me out of it, about your personal habits that may overflow into your professional ones, or not, as I hope to adequately explain. Because of my space, time, and background, I read a lot of books, and sometimes those books become movies. Sometimes I found out about a book because of a movie. It took some digging on my part to discover that American Fiction is based on Erasure by Percival Everett. And the majority of the books, DVDs, etc. that I read, watch come from my library. I'm a former librarian and promote the library and its services anywhere and everywhere I can. We love the library here, Joyce. Pro-library on this show. Back to the questions. Do you read the source material for movies? I'm excluding television here in all of its forms because it's a completely different discussion before watching them. If yes, is your personal enjoyment of the movie increased or decreased as a result? Is your professional opinion taken into account how closely the movie stays with the source material? That's the first question. Then we got another one. Why don't we pause there and try to answer that? And keep going?
We know you don't read.
I certainly don't read.
What was the last book you read?
Case's book, probably. No, I read Matt Singer's book, Opposable Thumbs, on Siskel and Ebert. So that was the last one. I read like one book a year.
When are they going to adapt Case's book into another Bring It On?
They should.
It could be the making of Bring It On.
Absolutely. Make it like Disaster Artist, but better.
So if I know a movie is coming out that is based on a book, I haven't read the book yet. I don't need to read it before the movie comes out. I actually like seeing the movie first and then reading the book to see how it compares. Like I did that with The Power of the Dog. I saw the movie and then I bought the book and I read it. So I like seeing that. I did that with Gone Girl. Like that was huge when the book came out. And
I even read Gone Girl.
Yeah. And I'm like I know it's gonna be a movie. And I'm like, I'm just gonna wait. So I like seeing how it compares after the fact. And then, sometimes I have read something before the film comes out, and that's fine. So, but it doesn't, like, changes don't bother me. If they deviate from the source material, it doesn't bother me as long as it makes sense narratively in the film. Like, if I understand it, like, I don't care that you made this change.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. I also think, like, obviously the book is better than the movie is a common trope, and we would all probably agree with that.
I feel like most people, that's usually when you've read the book first.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But I'm always like you. I don't care about the source material if the movie works. So like Bethel mentioned Flower Moon here, so I guess I'll keep reading. But to me, I don't care that they change Flower Moon a lot, because I'm just like, does the movie work as a movie is more important to me than if they got like a lot of
because a lot of the stuff is just inspired by the book or based on the book. It's not a straight adaptation.
And then the next part of Beth's email. Do you feel that filmmakers, both indie and the established, feel an obligation to their audience to stay within the source material? Are they attempting to draw from the audience the book readership established, or they do not care about that at all and are only wanting to tell the story that they want to tell without regard to history, source, aesthetic, art, etc.? I personally think that books and the stories they tell are alive, which is why I put that in quotes, bringing a book to life. I have not seen Oppenheimer, as I understand it is based on the book American Prometheus, but I hope to see it when it comes out on the Blu-ray format on DVD. Today. I got it right here, Joyce. I got mine 4K.
You opened it already?
Not yet. I'm going to watch it with my parents on Thanksgiving night. Can't wait. But I will read the book first. It's on the reserve list at my local library where the wait list is long. But I have heard from my book reading friends and fellow book to movie skeptics that Christopher Nolan's adaptation won't have me fuming. I will not be seeing Kills the Flower Moon because, from what I've heard and seen, it tells a misrepresented story. I might watch it if it ever comes out on DVD. I will not be paying Apple TV to see it if that's the only source available for viewing. And if Lily Gladstone wins multiple awards for her performance. As far as I'm concerned, Apple and Scorsese should have damn well thought about this before they undertook this project. So unfair to Lily and the less well-known actors. I love books and their stories. Live in a location where the closest IMAX is 2 to 3 hours away, and just generally confused by the kinds of decisions and choices the industry is making based on who they think might come to their films. Goes on here. I saw the Holdovers on a Wednesday afternoon, and there were 20 people in the smallest theater. The multiplex had 16 theaters. I think the younger person that I saw there was probably late 30s. The oldest was 70s. I saw Barbie this summer, and I've grown to love what Greta Gerwig is doing, and I hope she continues to do it. I was very fearful of yet another adaptation of Little Women, because so many of those movies actually stick too closely to the original, which makes it largely inaccessible to modern audiences. I need not have worried. I own both the movie and the soundtrack on CD. And I like what Denis Villeneuve is doing with Dune, and I look forward to Greta Gerwig and her company are going to do with Narnia. So a little sidetrack there at the end. But thank you, Beth, for the email.
I also love Greta Gerwig's Little Women, a book I read as a child, and I loved her adaptation, and she made changes that I thought were great.
I think that's the thing. I think one of the things here Beth was saying, I think most directors are not actually trying to stay to the source material.
Yeah. Because no matter what you're adapting from a book, there are going to be changes, whether really slight, that, everyone can just brush off, it's not a big deal. And sometimes they make big changes or they have to condense stuff. That happens with real stories too. Like we talked about Iron Claw last week, they eliminated a whole brother.
And Ridley talking about Napoleon. A lot of shortcuts taken there.
Yeah.
Like it just happens. You're not gonna go to a movie to get complete
it's not a documentary, and even documentaries have to leave stuff out too. Like this is a dramatization of something, of a book.
And I think the best filmmakers and the best adaptations are people who have a point of view and use that as an inspiration, like you said, and kind of like tell the story they want to tell that remains faithful to the book, but is its own thing, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like I think what, you know, Marty did with Flower Moon, I think it is an interesting move to flip it and not tell it from the FBI POV like it is in the book.
Right.
You know,
when people are voting, and we maybe have talked about this, but since she's talking about adaptations here, when people are voting, do you think how do they consider adapted?
Are they familiar with the source material?
Yeah, how do they consider, like, what are they looking for in an adapted screenplay?
I honestly think they're just voting for their favorite film.
Right. And it
or
just
like
so
the
happens...
script they like the most. Like, I don't think a lot of them are thinking about the source material.
No.
Or have even like read the source material if it's a book. And I mean, like Coda winning, like how many people do you think watched the French film?
None.
Exactly. That was because they just love that movie. It made them cry. So
so I agree. I actually don't think they, like, it's weird that you're awarding adapted screenplay, and I wouldn't want to get rid of a screenplay category because I like that 2 movies could win, but I don't think people are really, I think they're just picking the movies they like, not the best adaptation.
Yeah, or like the best script. You know, I think sometimes the best script does win. But yeah, but when they're maybe like when it's, you know, nomination phase, like branch voting, like the actual writers do, but it's like the winner phase when everyone is voting.
I'll give writers credit. I think they might do that. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. This one's from Cameron. Hi, Joyce and Chris. If Annette Bening wins this year, in my books, it will be the first, quote, overdue Oscar for Best Actress since Julianne Moore. By this, I mean that there is not much love for the movie or even the performance, but a lot of love for the actress and a general feeling that they should have already won. I was wondering, which of the 2 movies, Still Alice or Naiad, do you prefer, and who actually gives the better performance? And how much do you think Annette has a chance of winning compared to Julianne Moore? He also has other stuff that I will talk about, but let's answer that first. What do you think, Joyce?
I haven't seen Still Alice since it came out.
Okay. I would say I would go Naiad.
I probably will too, just because ironically I don't remember much about Still Alice. But I think, you know, Julianne got very lucky that year. I mean, she's great. I'm very happy she's an Oscar winner. Great performance in the film, but that was a very weak year for Best Actress. And this is not a weak year for Best Actress, so that's tough for Annette.
It's funny for Annette. I feel like if this was no disrespect to Jessica Chastain, if it was any of these other recent years, maybe not last year, because obviously it's really competitive, but like I think she could have won, but I'm not sure she's going to win this year, Annette. But I do. I mean,
I'm not even sure she is getting in. So.
It's going to be it would be tight if she gets in.
Yeah.
Also, this is Cameron continues. I would like to query Joyce's love for Friends. I adore Friends, and I've been recently going through a rewatch binge, which I do every 2 years or so. But I was confused by Joyce's statement that she watches it every day. When does she do this? At the start of the day? Before she goes to bed? I'm generally just very interested. Also, I want to know what her favorite quote, episode, and which of the 6 friends she relates to most.
Well, obviously Chandler.
Okay. Do you have a favorite episode?
I have multiple favorite episodes, so I don't have just one. I'm actually wearing my Moist Maker shirt right now for Thanksgiving.
Wow.
If you know that reference.
I don't.
The one with Rasta sandwich.
I don't remember.
Monica makes using Thanksgiving leftovers a sandwich, and she puts an extra slice of gravy soaked bread in the middle, and Ross calls it the Moist Maker. And then his boss at work ate it, so then he loses his shit. My sandwich, and then he gets put on sabbatical. The sandwich was the only good thing going on in his life. But my favorite seasons are 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
I think those are the best seasons. So I watch Friends every day because it's on Nick at Night every day. So I can just turn it on and leave it on.
Put it on the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I know like all the episodes by heart, but if there's nothing on, then I put that on. You know, if like last night I like tapped out of the football game. So I just went to Friends.
That makes sense.
So, but I've also, since Matthew died, I've also started a rewatch of the whole series, of course. I mean, I also watch it on Max too, like sometimes, like, and that's when I usually like start with a season 4 episode.
Okay.
My favorites.
Okay.
But I think like the best episodes are obviously the one with the embryos, which is the quiz episode. I did an oral history on that episode for the 20th anniversary 5 years ago.
I'll have to Google it. Google this.
You don't need to.
Okay.
And then the one where everyone finds out about Monica and Chandler.
That one I remember.
Yeah, they don't know that we know they know we know. A lot of great Thanksgiving episodes, you know, they're iconic Thanksgiving episodes. The one with all the Thanksgivings. The one where Ross got high, Rachel's trifle.
Okay.
You know, and I tend not to watch season 10 that much because it just kind of makes me sad because I know the show is ending. But yeah, those are my favorite, and that's how I watch it every day.
Okay. And then last bit from Cameron, just shameless plug here. I'm so glad you guys might be doing more Oscar playbacks for the 80s this time around, because they're my favorite thing. However, I do have a suggestion. Could you possibly do Emmys playback or Golden Globes playback? Because I think that would be really amazing.
Oh my God.
Put that in
I don't know how many Globe ceremonies are online.
That's the problem with, I feel like a lot of these is the Oscars ones I know we could find and we have.
Yeah, because they're organized.
Yeah.
I mean, like the only thing we could top out are Globe winners because they don't even upload speeches of themselves.
No.
You know, I know like I've come across some full Globe ceremonies that, you know, users have just uploaded themselves, but they're few and far in between.
This one's from James Joyce. Hello to all the slugfesters. Hello. My question, what is the unofficial ranking of precursor award events in importance and prestige, especially since all the Globes drama? Is getting the Golden Globe nomination still a big deal as it used to be, or did the Hollywood elite see the Critics' Choice as the most prestigious award before the year is over? How do you rank the precursors? For example, in no particular order, Critics' Choice, BAFTA, SAG, Golden Globes, Gotham, Spirit Awards, and New York Film Critics Circle. When I'm talking to my friends who do not follow the awards circuit, and I have 3 friends who have seen more movies in the Gold Derby's top 15 ranked films and lead acting odds than I have, meaning I'm going a lot off of their reviews than normal. They don't seem to understand me when I start talking about what performances will get in at the Globes versus the Oscars. How would you rank these precursors, Joyce?
So are we just talking televised precursors? Are we including, like he said, like New York?
I think we should include everything, but I would personally put a preference on televised ceremonies if I'm ranking.
Because I look at the quote unquote real critics, like LA, New York, National Society, separate from like Critics' Choice, which I put under televised.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
I mean, I put televised and not televised separate.
Yeah.
For me, the televised is important because like the performances are performances, and by that point everybody has seen probably all the movies and they know the performances, but then it's going to get down to if it's a close race, if somebody wins and they give a great speech, that's going to help. And if somebody wins and they give a speech that's meh, that might actually not help.
So how would you rank them, the televised ones?
I still think Globes is first because I do think it's still like like you were saying, we've said this before, it's the one every normie knows because it's been around the longest and it still holds sway. And so like, while it wasn't on TV and it wasn't like a big deal last year when it was on TV, it still was on TV. And so like, I think people know it. Now this year it'll be on channel CBS and Paramount Plus. So I still think the Globes is top. I would probably say after that SAG, because the actors are important, and this year it'll be on Netflix, right? Presumably, or on their YouTube page, or where is it this year? I don't even know.
It's streaming on Netflix.
And so the fact that it's on Netflix will greatly help its visibility, and I'm sure they will be promoting it like crazy, and there's a good chance many of their movies could compete there, so they'll have an added reason to promote it. So I put SAG next. Then I would put BAFTA, because while it's not as, I think from an industry, it's very significant. Then I would probably say the Critics' Choice Awards, well below those other 3.
Yeah, I would rank it the same. Like, even though Globes is not industry like SAG and BAFTA, but like you said, it is the oldest one of these and the most commonly known to normies. Like, again, my friends know what it is. They don't know what the SAG Awards are. They don't know what Critics' Choice are. They don't know what BAFTA is, but they know what the Globes are. And they've definitely seen at least, like 5 minutes of a Globe ceremony at some point in their lives.
Right.
Or an ad for it, and also because it's the first one, and the stars do turn out, like last year when it was returning to TV, there was, all this like hand wringing about like, oh, like who's actually gonna go now, like, and give them the time of day, and like people went, like because they still, they're still campaigning, whether they're forced to go or not, but like, they went. And it's still viewed as an important step on the trail. And it can really kick off your televised momentum. Like we've seen a lot of campaigns shift when the televised awards start. Like you think someone was out, or like they were not winning a lot of the highbrow critics awards, but it doesn't matter. Once the televised award starts, it's going to flip. And like this person sweeps, So, and then we've seen now with the condensed calendar, just a lot of rubber stamping, and Globes is first. So they, like a lot of people just like to piggyback off of the Globes, just copy and paste, no mind of their own. And then SAG, I would put a distant second, because again, I don't think most regular people know what it is, or like know where to find it, or have seen it. Maybe they're watching, like Supernatural or Charmed on TNT, and then it comes on afterwards, back when it was on TNT.
Right.
But they don't know what it is. But it's still industry, and like you said, actors, largest branch. And then I would do BAFTA, even though I have no idea where it airs here, like BBC America, I guess. Sure. And again, like most normies in America don't know what it is, but again, still industry. And then Critics' Choice last, also that's hard to find, is it now on the CW?
It was last year. I don't know where it is now.
Yeah, but it moves around. I remember when it was on A&E and E, but that's not industry at all. And low impact, I would say.
Yeah.
But, just another stop, you could go give a speech. So,
I mean, there are people definitely who think last year that Cate Blanchett was hurt by her speeches compared to Michelle. I know you don't believe that. I don't know if I even believe it, but I do know that Cate Blanchett might not have been hurt, but Michelle Yeoh's presence as on her speeches helped her, I would say. I don't think it hurt Kate,
it's more the social reaction to the speeches than what the actual perception of the speeches within the industry.
Okay.
So
this one's next up from Damien. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I don't think Cillian Murphy needs to campaign for the Oscar, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on his strategy, which appears to be, I am here and I love cheese. Honestly,
love it so much.
Quite brilliant. It really makes him relatable. That's from Damien.
The best. I love him. I love that they pried him out of his home in Ireland and forced him to come to LA to do these Q&As this weekend. Great campaign.
We didn't mention this in the Bradley talk, but I would say the Oppenheimer team is out in force, and Cillian too. They're not just
they force him to come out here.
They're not resting on their laurels and their box office and the reviews. They are a front runner, and they're kind of like going for it.
Yeah, they also had a crafts panel last week with Chris, and this weekend it's been Cillian, Emily Blunt, and RDJ. And I just love this trio because we know how charming and lovely and funny Emily and RDJ are. And Cillian is just happy to let them go at it.
It's great.
Like all these clips on these Q&As, I'm like, I love it so much because this man, he just wants to be at home with his dog, eating cheese. That's all he wants in this life. And, he'll diligently come out and, promote and campaign, but he's not going to go hard. But you can just tell, like, he'd just rather be at home with his night cheese. So I love it so much. And I don't think he needs to do anything else like anymore. Like, I don't think he needs to like show that he's thirsty. Like, this is who he is.
And it's not like
the performance speaks for itself.
that's it.
So.
It really does. It doesn't need to really do much else. We
Yeah,
got a
and then
couple
he
of
also
things,
has like Emily and RDJ praising him,
which
so
is
like
great.
that's great. Like, he's right next to them, and then they're just singing his praises. So,
And they're like kind of like, you know, the kings and queens of Hollywood right there. I feel like everybody loves those guys. A couple of Thanksgiving ones, 2 different ones. This one first was from Helen. Not really a question, but please list this year's Oscar contenders as Thanksgiving side dishes.
Okay, well, how should we like pick the side dishes first, or are we just going through films and naming a side dish?
It might be better to bottle the ends here. Let's pick side dishes: mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts.
Well, how many are we doing?
I mean, how many side dishes? Cranberry sauce, canned cranberry sauce,
Dishes?
sweet potatoes, stuffing.
Well, I love Brussels sprouts, which I know a lot of people don't like.
Okay.
So what is polarizing? Maybe Saltburn is Brussels sprouts.
Okay. I would say Poor Things is stuffing because it's a lot of shit
There's a
thrown
lot of
together.
stuff. Yeah.
It's great, but there's a lot of shit in it that's thrown together.
I want to say Holdovers is cranberry because it's a Christmas movie, and I also associate like red with.
I was thinking Barbie would be canned cranberry sauce because it's like manufactured and you think it should be bad, but it's actually awesome.
But well, I mean, I'm not a fan of cranberry, so that's the thing.
Okay. That's
my personal preference.
Okay.
But well, I mean, because there's canned cranberry.
That's what I'm saying for Barbie would be canned.
So I mean, I guess
classic.
But then like Holdovers is just cranberries.
Got it. Which is mashed potatoes. Kind of a side that I think I enjoy.
I love mashed potatoes.
It's not something that's flashy. It's a little utility, you know, utility side.
Yeah. I don't know, because it's like Oppenheimer's flashy.
Maestro, maybe
Maestro,
because it's there. You know, it's going to get a lot of
there, and it's good,
and it's good.
Yeah.
Pumpkin pie, does that count?
That's a dessert. Well, we could do like green beans, I guess.
Yeah, green bean or like green bean casserole.
Yeah,
that's pretty great. I love that. So
I don't know what's that.
Killer's Flower Moon. I don't know. No, do you think there's a
turkey?
Well, actually, that's the next one. That was from Maggie. So we could just go to that. She wrote us in at Slugfest at Gold Derby. Which Oscar contender is the turkey and which one is a turkey?
Well, I don't know if we can say which one is a turkey.
I would say if we could do this maybe next year. I would say if I'm looking at last year's Oscar contenders, Bardo would have been a turkey or
like The Sun
or Empire of Light. Which is the turkey is maybe Oppenheimer because it's the biggest.
Yeah, it's the biggest movie. I mean, like Barbie is bigger, but it's like this also has the prestige and the, you know, I mean, it's like they're both important. They have a message, but yeah, and that, you know, they both have a golden brown hue.
Love it. Love you. Love that. Good questions. This one's from you.
We love themed questions.
I do. So if you're gonna write themes, start sending Christmas ones in. This one is from Hugo, emailed at slugfest@gold. I'm a little more serious. Now that the SAG after strike is over, performers are going all in to campaign in a very short window. Bradley Cooper appears to be everywhere, doing the absolute most for Maestro. That's probably not unusual. That's probably not that unusual for him. But do you think cramming 84 events into every single day is actually going to have an impact on any of the races, or if people made up their minds already? I personally don't think people have made up their minds yet. I feel like it's still early days.
Well, yeah, because I think this is doubling as also a promo tour.
Yes.
Sure. So I'd say it's half promo, half campaigning. It's 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
I would say it won't make a difference later on in the season.
No,
when everyone has seen things.
when everyone had seen things, I think that matters. But I always say, people want to vote for somebody they like, and they're also like have a connect. If Bradley is shaking hands and kissing babies, it'll help that he kissed and shook all the hands and kissed all the babies. And I think people will be like, I like that. I like seeing Bradley Cooper at this event, and I'm gonna vote for him. I do think that matters, especially for I think there's always going to be like one or two like locked in people. Now he's like, to me, he's like on the top. He maybe doesn't need to do it because I think like he's an almost automatic Best Actor nominee, whether he wins or not. Feels like he would be in, but I do think it'll help him in the other categories where maybe he's more of a borderline contender, like screenplay or director. I don't know.
I mean, I think because it's like he's also someone who's so famous, and I understand like some people would just want to meet him because people like to meet celebrities. So they just want to go up to him after a Q&A and shake his hand and say good job and talk, but I think it would matter more for less famous people,
right,
than a famous person.
So Charles Melton would matter.
Yeah, because I do think there is kind of like a bias of like, who is this guy? Or people just look at his IMDb and like, oh, he was on Riverdale, and dismiss him.
So I think him getting out there will be really helpful. People will enjoy him.
Yeah, like I think there might be more of an unfair bias against him than against, like Dominic Sessa, because he's just a newcomer, like literally his first movie.
Right.
I think that's kind of exciting. I think they're both exciting, but I think if you're like looking at it as like, oh, this guy was on Riverdale, it's just very dismissive. So, but yeah, he just needs to have his mom make some more kimchi.
Last one here. This is from Claire. Emailed us at slugfest at Gold Derby. It's been nearly 20 years since Fantasia Barrino won American Idol. Now that she's starring in The Color Purple, what are your thoughts on its Oscar chances and her chances overall? Could she become the latest American Idol alum to win an Oscar? We kind of talked about this, but good place to end it.
That has been, one of her media narratives, I guess, like people pointing out that next year is the 20th anniversary of her win. I don't think it matters.
I too don't think it matters. And I think even if she were to get in, anything could happen once you get in, but I just feel like it would be hard to imagine that she would win based on what we presume the other nominees are. It just feels like such a really competitive category.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think you could use like Idol as a boost for her.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I think like people would like to be reminded of her one, I guess, but it might also make them feel very old because it's been 20 years. And but yeah, I think like, Idol is still on, but it's nowhere, it's way past its heyday. I think it's kind of different also when J-Hud won back then, because it was still big back then, and it was also just like, I can't believe like an American Idol loser, because she didn't even win, was gonna win an Oscar, and it was kind of like, haha, Idol, look what you missed out on.
Right. Last one, because we had a couple of people emailing this, so I'm not going to read specific ones, but our old pal David L wrote a long email. David, I'm sorry, I'm not reading the whole thing, but you did mention this and somebody else too. Jimmy Kimmel back to host the Oscars, Joyce. That was another bit of news.
Oh, but also like not news, because I'm like, sure, not surprising.
You know who I like hosting the Oscars? Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's actually really good at it.
So. I think it's fine. You know me, I don't care about the hosts, and I think he does a solid job every time he's done it, including Envelope Gate. Like, you just kind of need someone to move the show along.
Yeah.
And I think he can do that.
I always feel like it's funny, he seems like he gets like, so he hosted, like you said, Envelope Gate was like shocking and crazy, and they brought him back.
He got a do-over.
And then last year he had to do the damage control from the previous year with the slap, and so now he gets like free pass to not actually have to care about that aspect of it, which I find interesting.
Yeah. So his I think like hosting. he's reliable.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. I think people want a lot from hosts. I don't know if we were like spoiled by Billy Crystal I mean, Hugh Jackman was also great. I think he's the best host of this century, I think. But yeah, like I just need someone, to just like say a couple jokes at the beginning and then go away, and then just give out the awards.
The thing
And
that
then maybe like a package too.
we talk. I like Hugh Jackman. Obviously, is like paramount. He is like the pinnacle of Oscar hosts in the century. The thing that Jimmy does great that I think he gets from Billy Crystal is that Billy Crystal was friends with everybody in the room, and so like was able to like kind of make some jokes, and like people not going to take it, they're not going to be hurt, no hurt feelings, and like he kind of is doing his thing. And Jimmy is like that too. He's friends with everybody, so it does feel like that makes him really an adept Oscars host.
We also really need Air to be nominated now because Matt Damon will be there. So we'll have.
Or is it funnier if it's not nominated so he could just
Well,
shit
then
all over Matt
but then
Damon?
like Matt won't be there. That's the thing. Like Matt would go if it's nominated for something.
You don't think he'd go at all, even if it's not?
No.
Do you think Eric could get in Best Picture?
I think it's getting harder.
Me too. I don't have it in.
So, but I want another, We Bought a Zoo.
It'd be so good.
Parody. And then I want him to be introduced as Anne Guest with Ben Affleck again. So
fingers crossed.
And then like, they were supposed to do a bit before Envelope Gate. So
I know.
We never got to see it.
Fingers crossed. Joyce, it was a great show. Happy Thanksgiving, I guess, if you're watching.
Have fun seeing Wish again.
I will. Can't wait to tell you all about it. And the Marvels we're probably going to see, which I still haven't seen. And we'll be back next week with more stuff. What we got next week is we could preview New York Film Critics Circle maybe next week.
Yes. It's starting.
Can't wait. All right. Bye.